Okay, welcome back to The Explainer. Let's just go ahead and dive right in. For this session, I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that we're sitting together by a fireplace in a really quiet, secluded mountain lodge. The noise of the day is completely behind us, and we finally have a minute to just settle in and reflect. Today, we're exploring some genuinely profound insights from Daniel Body's work on the future of mindful leadership. Now, we aren't going to spend time on basic definitions or, optimizing your morning routine today. Instead, we're looking at the much deeper, quieter spaces of leadership. We're talking about how we hold tension, how we navigate conflict, and what our inner architecture actually looks like when the pressure is really on. So, grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's explore this together.
I want to start by painting a picture for you. Just picture a leader. Maybe it's you, standing by a large glass window late in the evening. You're holding a warm cup of tea, and you're watching this heavy, dark storm roll in over the valley. The wind is howling, the trees are bending, and the clouds are just heavy with rain. But the honest truth is, that storm outside perfectly mirrors the storm currently brewing inside. There's a messy relational conflict happening within your team. The tension from an afternoon meeting is still hanging so thick in the air you could cut it with a knife. As you watch the weather outside, you can literally feel that same atmospheric pressure sitting right in your chest. That intense, burning urge to fix the problem, to manage the people, or honestly, maybe just to escape the discomfort altogether.
And this perfectly captures a really profound truth. Leadership is never only external. Before it ever becomes visible, it is being shaped within. You see, when we're standing at that window, feeling the immense weight of team conflict, our instinct is almost always to focus outward. We think, what email do I send? What policy do I change? How do I fix them? But Body's work asks us to softly pivot our attention toward our own internal emotional stewardship. The way a leader holds tension internally directly dictates their external ability to navigate that conflict without losing their relational integrity. It's not really about the strategy you deploy, it's entirely about the condition of the self you bring into the room.
So, let me ask you a somewhat deeply personal question. Where do you retreat to when the room gets too loud? When relational pressure rises? When someone totally misunderstands you? Or when a massive project goes sideways? What is your protective instinct? Do you retreat into a fortress of absolute silence? Or do you retreat into over-explaining and urgency, desperately trying to control the narrative? We all have a default hiding place when our internal architecture is under strain. Just take a quick second right now to honestly identify yours.
I want to introduce a totally new way to think about this. Let's call it the fire and the stone hearth. Think about emotion, tension, and conflict as a fire. It's hot, it's consuming, and it's full of raw energy. Now, a fire without a hearth is chaotic. It'll just burn the whole cabin down. But a leader's invisible architecture, their grounded presence, their emotional maturity, that is the stone hearth. You see, you aren't trying to extinguish the fire. Conflict is natural, emotion is human, but a safely held fire contained within a strong, steady hearth actually warms the entire cabin. It brings light, it brings real transformation.
Now, here is where the balance gets incredibly delicate. Think about empathy without boundaries. That is exactly like a fire spilling out of the hearth and catching the wooden floor on fire. It's emotional merging. You take on everyone else's anxiety, you over-accommodate, and you totally lose your own center. On the flip side, boundaries without empathy is like building a massive wall of cold stone with absolutely no fire at all. It's pure relational distance. Sure, it's safe, but it is freezing cold. The stone hearth beautifully illustrates the delicate balance of a human-centered leader. Deep, warm connection held safely within a protective, mature structure.
So the absolutely crucial point here is, which side do you lean toward? When tension rises, do you notice yourself building a wall or stoking a wildfire? Do you default to cold, detached boundaries, shutting down all empathy just to protect yourself? Or do you drop every boundary you have, letting the emotional wildfire of the room completely consume your own nervous system? Just noticing this tendency, without judging yourself for it, by the way, is the very first step in building a much stronger hearth.
And that brings us to a really fascinating realization, the conflict mirror. We are so conditioned in the corporate world to view conflict as an external clash, a battle to be won or just a problem to be solved. But what if conflict is actually an internal revelation? It acts as a mirror that exposes the true condition of your own invisible architecture. When someone pushes back on your idea, their pushback is the mirror. If you instantly feel enraged or terrified, the conflict isn't even about the idea anymore. It's reflecting an unhealed narrative or a strained nervous system right there within you. Conflict shows us exactly where our hearth is cracking.
And that reflection is exactly why staying connected to yourself is the ultimate act of leadership. Presence in conflict is not weakness, it is maturity in motion. When you look into that conflict mirror and feel the heat rising, maintaining your center is what allows the tension to be held with dignity rather than defensiveness. You aren't avoiding the hard conversation, not at all, but you are bringing a regulated, anchored self right into the middle of it. That is what maturity in motion actually looks like in real time.
So, how do we actually do this when the heat is on? I want to take a couple of minutes right now to walk you through a unique practice. I call this the conflict anchor, and I want you to literally practice this with me right now. Go ahead and let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. Just settle into your chair. Imagine you are in a room and someone has just directly challenged your integrity in front of your entire team. You feel that immediate, familiar surge of feet. Step 1 is to notice the activation. Don't speak yet, just notice it. Take a beat. Feel the tightness in your chest. Notice the heat in your face. Acknowledge internally, I am activated right now. My body is preparing for a fight. You are simply observing the fire. Step 2 is to pause the reflex. Your reflex will absolutely scream at you to defend yourself, to attack back, or to shrink away. Give yourself the profound gift of a gap, a deliberate, spacious gap between their words and your reaction. You are refusing to let the reflex drive the car today. Step 3, and let's actually do this together, very slowly. Breathe into the center. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, hold it for just a moment, and exhale softly. Let's do it one more time, sinking even deeper into that foundation. Deep breath in, feeling the cool air, and just let it all out. With those breaths, you are actively laying the heavy stones of your hearth. You are building the architecture to hold the heat. You are returning to yourself. And finally, step 4, respond with clarity. Now that you are anchored, you speak. Not from a place of wounded ego, but from your grounded center. You ask a clarifying question. You state a boundary with warmth. You hold the tension without collapsing into it. This is the conflict anchor. Notice, pause, breathe, respond.
Coming out of that practice, I just want to let this question settle over you. What happens to your architecture when the room gets loud? Just compare how you felt before that breathing exercise to how incredibly grounded you might feel right now. That grounded state, it is always available to you. You don't have to be a victim to your usual rushed, reactive response. You can build the hearth, stone by stone, breath by breath, right in the absolute middle of the noise.
Zooming out to the broader picture for a second, we are seeing a massive, deep shift in what people actually need from their leaders today. We are moving far away from leadership as a polished, external performance, where you simply manage your image and hit your targets at all costs, and we're moving toward a deeply human-centered future. And a human-centered future requires leaders who are genuinely anchored in internal presence. Because frankly, people are just exhausted by leaders whose authority feels emotionally costly to be around.
And this leads us to the ultimate legacy shift. For decades, a leader's legacy was measured by the systems they built or the revenue they generated. But the human-centered future dictates that your true legacy is the emotional climate you leave behind. It's the nervous system impact you have on your team. Did people have to constantly shrink, overfunction, or walk on eggshells around your unpredictability? Or did your steady hearth allow them to feel safe, creative, and dignified? You see, you don't shape culture with a memo. You shape culture from the inside out, through the repeated, regulated encounters your team has with your nervous system.
Well, as our fire starts to burn down to the embers here, I want to leave you with this final truth to mull over. Presence is not just how you lead, it is how you leave people. I want to warmly invite you to carry this mantra forward into your day, into your next difficult meeting, and even into your home tonight. Leadership isn't a performance you put on, it's a space you inhabit. Keep building your hearth. But before you step away from the warmth of this fire, ask yourself, when you leave the room today, what kind of weather are you leaving behind for your team? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Take care.